Should Volvo still build the XC90? Watch this review and then tell me in the comments, because recently they have launched the EX90. This is the all-electric version, so it is somewhat a successor of this one here, but a direct successor will not happen because Volvo will go all-electric eventually. This one is still their large SUV in the petrol lineup or with a plug-in hybrid as we have it here today. So is this one here still a legit gem in the SUV segment? Or is it maybe even better from this Volvo generation? We're going to find out with Thomas on Autogefühl in full screen, 4K. Wait a minute, I always say 4K, full screen, fully. Let's go. Here with the front. It's called Ultimate Bright, this whole trim level with the bright chrome fins here and so on, together with the denim blue color. Yeah, I think I nailed this one today, didn't I? You know, this is also one of my hobbies, to dress accordingly to the car color. Always when I know the car color. Sometimes I don't. Thor's Hammer LED lamps, and when you hit the turning indicator, then also there they appear. So I think it's always a beautiful structure. In comparison to the nowadays electric vehicle styling, which is more about aerodynamics, this one here really stands upright as an SUV as we know it. 4.95 meters or 195 inches is the length of the XC90, and we can still see this really large greenhouse, upright windows. Once again, a true difference to the new EV models, which are also a little bit, you know, tighter here and everything about aerodynamics. 19-inch to 22-inch. These ones here are 20 inches, somewhat in between. Let's see how that one performs with the air suspension today. Classic Volvo SUV tail lamp style in this vertical styling, and you can even see from the exterior how much space there is on the interior. Let's see more about the interior right now. Key fob is actually nothing special. Then the door closing sound is actually quite good. And then inside of the doors with a nice dual tone styling here, and I love this matte wood insert. Feel that also. Some say it's old school to have matte wood, but I just love it. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Then we have this Bowers & Wilkins sound system here. We'll also take a look at that very soon. And on the interior, you also have this two-tone scheme available. You don't have to go for it. The base versions would also have a leatherette steering available, by the way, as well as for the seats. But here in the higher T8 trim, they usually only offer animal skin, in parts at least. It's a mix actually. There the EX90 of course offers more animal friendly solutions already. Then getting inside, you have this upright seating position, a lot of space, and it's so different to the new, all new SUVs because everything is upright. You have a lot of headroom, even with 189 or 6'2", and yeah, you just feel this large greenhouse when you're sitting down here. Interior cockpit overview. They updated some things, soon more to that. First of all, you can optionally also get this leatherette dashboard. That's actually pretty cool, nice quality. And for example, if you compare to the very early versions, here we have the new shifting lever that is a little bit more stylish, I would say. You're also nice with the matte wood inserts, and you can slide this one open like this for the cup holders, for example. And this infotainment system, well, maybe the new vehicles offer a larger infotainment system, but inside has been updated, because here you also have the native Google Maps support here, Android Automotive based system now. And yeah, actually it's very decent that you have this inbuilt in your vehicle. Pretty easy setup. As for the menu structure, just for the climate, you always have to choose it here in the lower part for the vent strength, and then for the temperature, or when it's like this, you control the temperature here. Not too easy to do also for seat heating and the heated steering wheel. Yeah, I would like physical dials there. And you also have the Apple CarPlay integration. There we can also test this sound system. Wow, it's really great. I love that Bowers & Wilkins sound system in here, especially with a special feature, because when you go here to the options list, then you can pick this Gothenburg concert hall, and it sounds weird on radio, but cool with music definitely. And the Apple CarPlay integration, by the way, when you hit the map here, is actually a little bit quicker than it is with the inbuilt Google Maps, so maybe not the latest hardware behind it. Also new software here for the digital instruments. For example, you can also have this map view on the inside, but only from the car internal GPS. And you can also get a proper head-up display. And under the armrest, the cable connection then for the smartphone. And to this large greenhouse concept also counts this. First of all, nice bright ceiling here with the microfiber, then the upright cover as well, and so much space above and next to your head. That's what I love about this vehicle. And you can still open this one. You know, the latest EVs and so on, they usually have the fixed panoramic roofs, which I don't really understand. I would rather go for one that you can open or then go for a closed roof. But the fixed glass roofs, yeah, is always pro and cons to that, definitely. What do you think? Rear doors, soft material, also the nice matte wood. And then we have a manual shade here, especially for the kids. So good build quality here. And then the legroom here. As the seat as I would be driving, there's not so much legroom left considering the length, but it works for tall adults. The seats are overall pretty high, so I think they more thought about kids here, definitely in the rear bench, which is of course fitting to the whole concept of the vehicle, because this is here then the outside seats. By the way, here you can adjust the back part here a little bit, and then we'll soon also go to the third seating row. Here in the middle seat, this is really interesting. Look at that. This is this integrated child seat. You can push it up like this. Yeah, and then you have this, somewhat child seat for the not too small ones. Also a practical thing. And you can also sit in the middle here as an adult. That also works like this. Headroom also no problem at all. Huge panoramic roof. Well, and now to get into the third seating row, you pull it here at the top, and then, well, to slide it forward takes some effort, and this is then the entry to the rear seat. Do I still have space there? Isofix? Not at all. So you cannot use it for Isofix space child seats in the rear there. And now my least favorite part, and yeah, I know you love it, and you can have like Thomas time code in the third seating row maybe. So let's squeeze myself in there. Like this, I already folded the middle seat down that I can have some chance to do that. And, well, headroom-wise, it directly works, I would say, so that's okay. Legroom is indeed the problem. The ground here is a little bit uneven in the rear. And, I can't move these seats here much more forward. You can slide all three individually. But then you can see here, legroom-wise, it does not work at all for tall adults. That's the thing. You have Isofix here on these second seating row seats. As I said, third row, no. But it's more, I would say, like this middle seat here, for children that are not that small, but at the same time also not that tall. As for the trunk or the boot, here the plug-in hybrid version loses some capacity here at 640 liters then, whereas the other one would be at 710 liters. Sorry, I need to cheat a little bit. First of all, I want to show you here when the trunk is closing. Just listen to that. I don't want to be between that, but I can test a child safety test later on. First of all, let's take a look here. Great dimensions, right? First of all, some luggage inside. You can have a better understanding of it. And here the width is almost even between the wheel arches. It's like 115 in meters or 45 inches. That's good. And the standard length is about 125 in meters or 49 inches, so that's really decent. Here in the back part you have this splitter that you can also have some backpacks in here, that nothing flies all over the place. Then we have the charging cable. You can either store it just there, really underneath it, maybe a little bit too shallow probably. You have to fold everything individually, and you cannot do that from the back of the trunk. Pro, you have a nice folding mechanism here of the head restraints, and then everything also folds really flat. Wow, look at that now. That setup is really well usable. Safety sensor test as promised. Let's see. Yeah, maybe it could be a little more sensitive, but overall definitely okay. If it wasn't before this. Under the hood you always get a 2-liter 4-cylinder. In Europe we still get the diesel. In the US you can not only get the B5 but also the B6, so a little bit stronger petrol engine. And then there's the top engine, the T8, the plug-in hybrid. Acceleration figure here around 5 seconds, 5.4 in the EU, with a rear electric motor as the additional boost, so to speak. So the all-wheel drive indeed comes from that rear electric motor then, but it is actually always available. Then they have also recently upgraded the battery size, now at 15 kWh net, so you will get some more pure electric range. And from our test, we're now at the pure electric range from about 60 kilometers or 40 miles. And the petrol range, considering it's about 10 liters on 1 kilometers, 23 mpg US, 28 mpg UK, when you drive with completely empty battery. And then you have some 700 kilometers or 430 miles of the petrol range. So overall combined, then really significant. Of course, you could also have a little bit less petrol consumption when you are in this hybrid mode and use more of the recuperation, even if you don't recharge it. But of course, in this case, it does make sense to recharge it. Welcome to Thomas's driving lounge with the Volvo XC90 T8. That's still good also here in the driving. Let's find out. First of all, in this hybrid mode here, I'm driving all electric at this moment. When the battery is full enough, you can also change these driving modes here. If you, for example, in this hybrid mode, I can also go to pure. Then it would actually keep the EV mode as long as possible. At maximum speed, 140 kilometers an hour, pure electric. That's 87 miles per hour. And even if you're just all electric, it accelerates quite quickly. And in this pure mode, only if I would pin that down, that throttle completely, then the combustion engine would go on. Here in the hybrid mode, that then goes earlier. I also see in the instrument like this, there's like a small fuel drop where I see at which point the combustion engine would go on. And it, for example, would also go on if I pin it down here, of course, for our acceleration tests. And let's go, for example, to the power mode. Then it is already on for the best acceleration possible. 52, let's go. Plop, that's 100. So you see, decently quick. And you also hear the combustion engine then. If you ask yourself, is that any good for the engine? If it suddenly goes on and you rev it out, no, it's not. So that is a problem with plug-in hybrids. They are a little bit stronger in some parts of the engine where the stress would be put on the engine, yes. But of course, it only helps when you really take care of that yourself. In that case, for example, I went for the charge mode before, so I can also charge the battery while driving, which doesn't make any sense efficiency-wise, but I just did it for this acceleration test that the engine is warm before and that I don't damage the vehicle. So here, 100 kilometers an hour, one more acceleration when we're already at speed. Let's go. 30, 50, and 180. Yeah. So power-wise, no problem at all. When the engine is really put under RPM pressure, then of course this 2-liter 4-cylinder doesn't sound too good. Yeah, I mean, they're not too performant actually, and however, the overall hybrid driving experience, when we go back to that again, is to me quite pleasant, because you have a lot of electric moments, even if the battery would be completely depleted. Then you lift your foot off the throttle, it usually then goes in the electric mode and feels kind of like a in-bit hybrid. And when you have recharged it, then you can also significantly drive all electric, and that is happening very, very often. And as I said, realistic value about 60 kilometers or 40 miles pure electric range, and you can do something with that. For example, your weekly commuting and so on. Wind noise or wind insulation, I think here at 130 kilometers an hour, so around 80 miles an hour, it is kind of windy outside today. You have to say that. But it's actually decent, I would say. There are maybe some more silent competitors, but it's not bad at all. That's interesting how this rear wiper is hanging downwards like a tail. Interesting thing. Things you always see on the German Autobahn as well. Yeah, and even driving all electric. So most of the time I've been having this vehicle here at home now. I've been driving all electric and then recharging again, and here it really makes sense indeed, especially when you can charge it at home or so. By the way, I wouldn't necessarily say this counts for all XC90 models. It always depends on the individual vehicle. I feel that the steering wheel is a little bit offset here, you know. That would be straight, but then I'm going to the left. This is kind of like going straight and it's tilted to the right. I would like to hear your comments about that. I'm really sensitive to that. I hate that, totally. And it's often that, you know, you do that in the workshop and also with the electronic steering wheel calibration and so on. Yeah, but I really like it that you can see that's completely straight. Maybe you can fix it with a new electronic calibration of the steering wheel or something. Here, higher speed and lane change at 130 kilometers an hour. Let's do that. Yeah, you feel Leah's like, whoa. Yeah, you have this floating ship atmosphere, which is okay to the XC90 because you do have air suspension here, and I love that, and you have this floaty ride indeed, and therefore it doesn't need to be that sporty. So if you compare it, for example, to the German competitors, this one definitely less sporty. Then there would maybe be a Mercedes GLE where you still also feel that air suspension you have, and then the other competitors where they go more in the sporty direction. Not necessarily without being less comfortable, because it always depends. Floaty, yes, but it doesn't mean that it's the best comfort, you know. It's just a different feeling, I would say. Here, one problem I do feel is, although we have 20-inch wheels, not the largest ones, and we have the softer winter tires compound, and the air suspension, when the road is uneven and we have some bumps in the road, then it does get through indeed. And I was wondering about that. So that was kind of strange, and I feel that is not the best as for the air suspension. I mean, the newer models there are maybe a little bit better there indeed. So that's the one thing I'm kind of a little bit disappointed of, that we have, you know, this uncomfort from sudden bumps or potholes in the road that should be better with this tire and suspension setup. Other than that, I feel it's a very relaxed ride, and I love this open greenhouse atmosphere. It's very good for a long journey, also as for the seat ergonomics and so on. I said you can also get the full leatherette seats, for example, in the US versions in the lower trim, which is fine because, I mean, even considering the age of the vehicle, you probably should not go for the highest trim then. Doesn't pay off money-wise. It's still not a cheap vehicle at all. So a low entry version also has most of the features you actually need. And then here, when you are at relaxed speeds, it's also really cool and calming on yourself. Here on the left side, you activate the cruise control, and it also has, if you want, the active lane keeping assist. So you can switch it if you want to have that or not. Here, this would be the active lane keeping assist. It is actually quite okay. There are also, for example, Audi, BMW, Mercedes offer smoother solutions, I would say. Here then, a little bit right and left. There you once again feel that it is a moving ship. It is really large, it is heavy, and it is still quite fun to steer it around, but it doesn't give you that sporty character where most of the SUVs go towards that direction nowadays. But I think it's not a necessity actually to do that. You can also have something on the market which appeals to other customers who don't care about sporty driving, you know, and so on. Then here we switch the motorways. It's always a good test and a little fun. There we go. And we can do one more acceleration in the power mode. Let's go from 70 kilometers an hour. Let's go. Woo. 130. Bah, did that bump. You felt that. 160. And top speed 185 kilometers an hour. So Volvo has limited that top speed for all of their models. That is the strategy, although I could theoretically go longer. And here at top speed, actually also from the wind noise, yeah, of course, significantly louder than before, but still quite okay, I feel. There was one, I always use it as for good testing that road. This one fierce bump, this in the road, where you really heard it hammered through, and usually that shouldn't happen with the vehicle with air suspension. So that was the proof of the point I have been criticizing earlier. But overall, it's a very likable feeling here, and I mean, told you about the range beforehand. Of course, you can still drive way longer in that one than with the electric counterpart, the EX90. So range is, of course, still something you need to consider when comparing this one here against the all-electric brother. And of course, this greenhouse concept, more open space, more open feeling. So I somehow still like this vehicle. Do you? Or would you rather go for the EX90, the all-electric one, or the Polestar 3?